Hey, my friend. Good morning. March 8th, 2026. Insanely Simple by Segall. Segall. Here's the crazy one. Steve. I just read random sections in random chapter. Earlier, I described the Think Different campaign as Steve's first foray into advertising after he returned to Apple in 1997. The commercial we created to launch the campaign, entitled The Crazy Ones, was meant to express Apple's philosophy. After we created this commercial, Chia's chief, Lee Clow, had the idea that there was only one person in the world who could read it like it came from the heart. That was Steve himself. It was a pretty great idea, but we had no idea how it would sound until we tried it. So one day, I dutifully traveled up to Cupertino, sound engineer in tow. Sound engineer in tow, just so we could get Steve's read. We set up in the Apple's auditorium. When Steve showed up, he made it clear that he really didn't think this was a good idea. A, he really didn't think this was a good idea, and B, he was busy, so he was only going to read it once. I consider it a major victory that I was able to get 3 takes out of him before he said, "I'm finished," and walked out. During that late night when we put the final touches on this commercial, we made a valiant effort to persuade Steve that his voice would work best, but he resisted. He thought the fact that he was reading the script would create controversy and distract people from the message of the ad, which he thought was so important. Though he didn't fancy himself as the voice, Steve had a major passion for The Crazy Ones. He seemed to get goosebumps from it. He played it at key events, even some 10 years after it first ran. He felt that it perfectly captured the spirit of the company he'd built. Only years later, now that we can look back and more fully appreciate Steve's role in revolutionizing computers, music, movies, and phones, does it become clear that the script for this ad wasn't just describing Apple, it was describing Steve himself. Here's to the crazy ones, the misfits, the rebels, the troublemakers, the round pegs in the square holes, the ones who see things differently. They are not fond of rules, and they have no respect for the status quo. You can quote them, disagree with them, glorify or vilify them. About the only thing you can't do is ignore them, because they change things. They push the human race forward. And while some may see them as the crazy ones, we see genius. Because the people who are crazy enough to think they can change the world are the ones who do. Okay, I think I've definitely heard this ad before, but not from Apple. I think from Casey Neistat. I think he made a video just using this as the script. Yeah, I think so. Maybe he did something very similar. He just imitated this script. Yeah, crazy one. I think I am one of them. After Steve passed away, when Apple staged a celebration of his life at its Cupertino headquarters, CEO Tim Cook played the audio recording of Steve reading the script for these crazy ones. Steve really did do a beautiful job of it, quite distinct from the Richard Dreyfuss version. He made his recording before he ever heard Dreyfuss. Over a decade after it was created, Steve's read has finally made it out of the chat vault and onto YouTube. If you haven't heard it already, it's well worth seeking out. A widely circulated rumor about this commercial is that it was written by Steve, or that he wrote a substantial part of it. In truth, he inspired the ad in many ways. He was totally involved with it from start to finish. and he had lots of valuable input. And as a writer, he did contribute this line: "They pushed the human race forward." It's interesting because if you were to look for the one line in this ad more descriptive of Steve's life, I believe that would be it. Pushing the human race forward is far more important than merely inventing cool stuff. While Steve's vision was delivered revolution by revolution, clearly his sights was set higher. He saw Apple creating products that would literally change the world for the better. By making advanced technology simpler, Steve truly did push the human race forward. Amazing. Okay, I'm gonna head back and write some journals. Thanks for watching and reading. 停止录像。